Assalamu alaikum class. Today is actually the last lecture for this course, and then only one class is left. That would be the assignment class. We will be doing 4.2 and 4.1. Let's begin with it. 4.2 says assess the policies and procedures designed to support and monitor the people in the workplace. So definitely when you are in the workplace, in the organization, on a professional ground, there are definitely some set of rules and procedures which every person needs to follow. A kind of you're given the handbook on the day of orientation, and you people know that we need to follow all those rules. The command verb assess means we need to focus on the description of the indicative content, then add the judgment and the counter argument against it. The question is asking us to evaluate or assess, not evaluate, actually the assessment, that is an organization's written rules and routines, that is known as policies and procedures, that are meant to help the employees, that is supporting them and keeping the track of how they're doing the monitoring. That is, you're assigned the duties and now how things are going on, we're going to focus on that. You should use whatever the evidence you have, that is the documents, interviews, data, practice, to form a clear judgment about whether those policies actually help the people and whether monitoring is fair and effective, and then explain your judgment with a convincing argument. This is actually a very important paragraph. You need to read it while attempting this question, that is assessment criteria 4.2. Now, every workplace needs the policies, that is proper formal written rules, and the procedures. Procedures are the steps, and the policies are the rules, regulations. These are not just documents for the compliance, they exist to protect the employees, guide managers, and ensure fair treatment. And these regulations, policies, and procedures are for us people who are working as employees. It will protect the rights, the dignity, how the managers are going to act, what are their responsibilities, what rules they need to follow. Everything is discussed in this Policies and Procedures Act. Support means giving the employees protection, resources, and fair opportunities. Do not do the discrimination at all. Monitoring means checking the employees' progress, that is the well-being and performance, in a fair way, keeping up everything in equilibrium, balanced way. This assessment criteria examines both the aspects and gives a judgment of their effectiveness. First is the purpose of the workplace policies and procedures. Why we do need these things. First is for the clarity. That is, employees know what is expected of them. That is why they are being hired in the organization. Protection, staff rights, safety, and well-being are safeguarded. Everything is saved from the A till Z of the employees we are hiring. Fairness, rules apply equally to everyone. Despite the gender discrimination, we have to treat everyone equally. Monitoring, the organization can measure the performance and well-being. Yes. How? The performance of the people, that is employees in the organization, are measured by KPI indicator, key performance indicator. Development policies encourage training and growth. And when you have the policies in the organization, there is higher chances that the people you are hiring, they're going to grow further. Without the policies, workplace can become unfair, unsafe, and unproductive as well, because nobody knows what they will be doing whatever they want to, because they know there is not set proper rules. If we do not install the proper biometric systems for the attendee times and when they're leaving, when they're entering, things are going to be quite difficult then, because you can adjust the timings or the entrance date manually as well if the system is not properly dragged up. Then examples of the key policies and procedures. What types of policies and procedures are? First is always the health and safety policy, supporting the employees by creating a safe environment and reducing the risk of accidents. Yes, giving them proper environment, safe being. Monitor safety through regular inspections, incident reports, and risk assessment to have proper check and balance wherever they are working, whether it's a factory or any department as well. Sickness and absence management policy, support employees with the sick leave, medical certificates, and return to work plans. These facilities are even given to the students as well when you're in universities, and it helps us a lot. You can even freeze the semester if there's some ambiguity and you cannot attend the classes. Monitors by reporting the attendance patterns and identifying if extra help is required. That is the biometric system of the attendance when a person is coming and going out, and with that, extra help, that is for the upgradation of the skills. Performance management policies support employees by setting the clear goals and objectives, offering the feedback, and identifying the training needs. If you need something, the help is going to given to you people. Then monitors through appraisals like KPI indicator and manager reviews. What your peers talk about you, that matters as well. And further indicators are going to tell the exact score where you stand as an employee in an organization. Then training and development policy supports by offering the courses, workshops, and career growth, and monitors by keeping the training records and measuring the skill improvement. If obviously, when the organization is investing in you by giving you the training and making sure you attend the workshops, then definitely they will be seeking the output from you as well according to that workshop criteria. Equal opportunities, because that training is not for everyone. Only selective people are selected for this purpose. Equal opportunities policy supports the staff by ensuring no discrimination in hiring, promotion, or pay. Like we can even bribe and get into the organization. It happens. If my father is in the organization, it gets really easy for me to intervene. But this should not be the case. Monitors through HR audits and diversify reports. That is, human resources is going to do a thorough analysis on your resume and the projects you are been conducting, and then they make the reports and conclude it from different managers and department people. Prevents and disciplinary procedures, that is, give the employees a fair way to raise complaints and get justice. If there is an issue going on, there must be a proper way and set up a committee through which we can, resolve every issue. Then monitoring it while tracking the behavior, misconduct, and how issues are resolved, how things are then going on. You have implemented it, now you need to see the feedback. Wellbeing Policy Employee Assistance Program, EAP, this is a very common program in mostly organizations. It supports the mental health through counseling, flexible hours, and stress management. Nowadays, people are getting workshops specifically for this, and even I recently attended this because of the working style, working pattern. It is quite different as to compare to 90s and even the early times. Monitors by collecting the anonymous feedback, well-being surveys, and absent friends. We're not going to use the name directly, but we are getting to know through the surveys that where exactly the mental health is standing. What's the main issue which is arising between the people who are working in the organization? Then how policies and procedures supports people. How these, I think you about 6 to 7, the types of policies and procedure. Now coming towards how they help in people, support of people. First, health protection, accident prevention, mental health support. You're getting the counseling as well. And if something bad happens, you're going to get compensation against it. Equal treatment, all the staff treated fairly regardless of gender, race, or religion. Because if you are in a multinational, you are not going to be from one country. People are from various country background, thinking and styles as well. Career growth, training, and appraisal help people progress. That is giving the promotion, higher designation, opportunities. Sometimes country to country opportunities are also available, which actually is quite interesting. Conflict resolution, grievance procedure, solve problems without biases. That is, if there is an issue going on in the organization, you should solve it with the help of committee you have made and with the proper set in rules, and then you can go ahead. And it should not cause problem further in the future. Work-life balance, flexible working and leave policy support personal needs. If you need some leave, you can go ahead for that. And if there's an emergency or something like that, you can definitely work from home and do not come to the office. You can definitely state that application. How policies and procedures monitor the people. First, it was support the people, now monitoring the people. Monitoring is through obviously the KPI indicators, ensuring employees meet the goals of organization. Attendance record, track punctuality and absent patterns. That is to just curb the issue of absenteeism, that how many people are getting absent in the organization and how many people are quite punctual. You can reward them accordingly. And if the people are not coming, then you can see what's the exact issue. Manager reviews, one-to-one check-ins to see how staff are coping. That is, I'm going to directly ask questions with Sophia, then the Richard, Ritaj, and then I'm gonna go for the conclusion. IT monitoring, CCTV used to secure data, prevent misuse, and ensure data must be lawful and transparent. Most of the time, cameras are not even working, they're physically present in the organization. So you need to have a proper check and balance whether all the system cameras are working or not. Health and safety inspection, make sure working conditions remain safe. If the environment is like you're working in some atomic energy or some nuclear power plant or a coal mine energy plant as well, then you need to have proper system and gear, that is the uniform and the health protection, then you can go ahead further. So the monitoring should be transparent and fair, that is transparent. There should not be any ambiguity. If the employees feel spied on unfairly, trust is lost. Definitely they won't be trusting you anymore, and even the output is not going to be the same the one which they were producing before. employees. Strengths of the good policies and procedures. The good points are that it is clear and simple to understand, no difficult thing in it, easily available to all employees in the form of handbook or intranet, that is a system installed in the organization, and all the major information is shared in that system, and then it is transferred to everyone PC and the emails. Regularly updated and reviewed because you need to see what is the progress going on. Managers trained to apply them consistently. Consistency is the key in each and every aspect of the life as well. Now, this is then organization. Transparent monitoring that focuses on improvement, not the punishment. You're not going to disregard anybody or you're going to just straight fire them and just take them out of the job. No, you have to conclude up with the conclusion and the solution as well. However, the weak point, the challenges, sometimes policies exist only on the paper but not used in the practice. Very true. We have so many rules and regulations which are listed at the handbook, but you guys literally know that we rarely follow any rules. We only follow few rules which we feel like is easy for us. We humans are like this. If rules are vague, managers may treat people differently, unfairness. If the rules are not strong enough, even the managers who have the authority, they can mistreat. Staff may not know their rights if communication is poor. What if they are not able to read what exactly the rules are? If they're the Arabic people and you have launched and written around everything in, let's say, Italian or English, a difficult English, British accent, then it gets really difficult for the other person to read it. So it will create a confusion. So use a simple plain language which is accepted by most of the nation. Monitoring can feel like spying if not explained clearly. Very true. If you're not working on with each and every aspect carefully, then things get really difficult at the end. Outdated policies, the old policies may not fit new working styles, that is remote work. Definitely, for the remote work, you need to change the organizational structure, the type of leadership style, and how things goes on. So after the assessing the role of workplace policies and procedure, it is clear that they are essential tools for supporting and monitoring employees. On the positive side, they provide structure, safety, fairness, and development opportunities. Employees feel more confident when they know their rights and responsibilities. Very true. When everybody even knows what they need to do the next day and where they need to head out, they plan things accordingly. And it's really nice thing as well. On the negative side, policies are only effective if implemented fairly and reviewed regularly. That is, without proper training and communication, they lose their purpose. If we're not having proper rules and regulations and things are not recorded with a solid grounds and firmness, then things get vague at the end. So, judgment is overall workplace policies and procedures strongly support employees by protecting them and offering the fair treatment while monitoring ensures. So, supporting is word. That is, we're protecting them directly, while the monitoring ensures accountability and improvement. That is, check and balance. And if there is an improvement required, we are going to get the feedback as well. However, the organizations must ensure that policies are not only written but also practically applied, fairly enforced, and regularly updated to be made effective. That is why I added this point that most of the rules and regulations they are in the handbook in the system, but people rarely follow it. All the policies that even which are formed by the government, they are not followed by every citizen, except North Korea. Their things are way too different than the other parts of the world. Then comes the recommendation, communicating the policies clearly, that is during the induction and training. Induction is the period in which we are trying to enter the new employees in the organization, and then we see whether they will be going ahead or not. Like first, you give the training for 6 months and maximum 1 year as well, and you pay them to, and then you see if they have the potential to work with you, that's the organization further or not. Review policies annually to keep them relevant. That is proper check and balance annually, and I prefer biannually. That is after 6 months, do have a checklist. Train managers to apply rules consistently, and then again, training is an important factor. Other than training the employees, you have to train the managers and even the head of the departments too, because daily new things are coming in the in the industry. Like even when you become a principal of a school or a college, you then again need a training because you are going to control the whole system of the area where you have opened your school or university. Then link the monitoring with the support. For example, if absence is high, offer the well-being help instead of punishment. If you think that a person was sick and he's not able to come in the organization, then despite firing them or her, it's better to give some compensation so that once he's all well, everything is fine, he can come back. You can even allow him to work remotely. Encourage employee feedback when updating the policy is really necessary. So you always have a survey. This was the reason that you need to ask questions and then you can amend it accordingly. Ensure transparency in monitoring so staff know what data is collected and why. What's the reason behind the survey going on? You should know that. Policies and procedures are not just rules but a framework for the fairness, safety, and growth. When applied correctly, they empower employees, maintain the trust, and improve the performance. Yes, very true. When there is a proper rules and regulations, everything is followed correctly, then what happens? Things are very easy and ongoing. Effective monitoring ensures accountability, but must always be balanced with respect for the employee rights. Do not ever forget that the other person who is in your organization has a respect and dignity, just like thus, policies and procedures are a foundation for the supportive and well-managed workplace. If you really want to pursue further, then you need to be very vigilant with all these aspects, policies and procedures. Then coming towards the example, this is the bakery in my city. You can choose any bakery in your country as well and city as well. Tasdeep Bakery is a well-known bakery chain in Pakistan with multiple branches and hundreds of employees, including the bakers, sales staff, cashiers, and delivery workers, to manage the such large workforce. The company needs strong policies and procedures. These rules help to support the staff, that is, keep them safe, motivated, and fairly treated. When you have the rule, you know that you have the right to say. If something goes wrong or beyond your will, you can definitely counter check that and monitor the performance, check quality, efficiency, and discipline. This case study shows how Tessie Bakers applies workplace policies and procedures in real life. The same thing which we studied above, but it is going to be an example context just to make sure things are easily understandable by you people. Examples of policies and procedures in this bakery: health and safety policy. Employees working in the kitchen are provided with the gloves, mask, and hairnets to ensure hygiene and personal safety. For the fire extinguishers and the first aid kits are also available. So this is what you can at least add in the health and safety policy. If the example changes, like any restaurant, any bakery, if it's for the healthcare sector, hospital, example is going to vary. The health and safety is going to vary. Regular inspections are carried out by the supervisor to check whether the staff follow hygiene standards and safety protocols in the factory as well, in the bakery outlets as well. Then training and development policy. New employees such as sales staff at the counter receive orientation training on the consumer service, handling the cash and food safety, because all these things mandatory. They are really need to be followed up because you are directly in contact with the consumers all the time. Supervisors observe staff performance during the customer interactions and give feedback for the improvement. If it needs further improvement, they can definitely correct you. Attendance and leave policy. If an employee is sick, they can apply for the leave without losing their job security. This to ensure they're supporting the difficult times as well, because you know this is not in your hand. Getting sick and going the natural calamities or even the death as well. Monitor biometric attendance system track the working hours and punctuality, which is installed now in every organization. HR reviews attendance records monthly that how many days the person was in the organization. That equal opportunity and discrimination policy. Staff are hired from different backgrounds, that's education levels, gender experience. It's like you have done in first, second year, or a degree, you are welcomed and are treated fairly. No one is denied promotion due to bias. That's very true. Everyone is treated equally. They only see your skills. Monitor HR keeps the records of recruitment and promotions to ensure fairness. Any complaint of discrimination is investigated among the employees. Performance management procedure. Employees are given clear targets such as maintaining the sales, reducing the customer complaints, or meeting the production deadlines as well. Everything is securely had a check and balance. Branch managers review monthly sales reports and consumer feedback. High performing staff are rewarded with the bonuses as well. Bonuses of in the monetary terms. Grievance and disciplinary procedures. If a cashier feels unfairly treated by a supervisor, they can raise a complaint formally. This ensures staff will protected. The way they are treating the consumers, the same way they're treating the employees as well. And it is literally visible in the bakery. Management tracks the number of the complaints and ensures each is resolved according to the procedure that is set standard rules. Cutting it short, imagining a sales worker at Tessie Bakers develops health issues due to standing long hours at the counter. The health and safety policy supports him by allowing regular short breaks and providing a chair to sit when consumers are fair. You can do this when there is a lot of traffic of humans. You can definitely stand up and deal accordingly. But if there are less, then you can sit and deal accordingly. His absence due to illness is recorded under the attendance policy, but instead of punishment, HR arranges a return to work meeting to discuss adjustments. What else he can do, which can be under his domain, and he can work by the home. The performance management system ensures his sales targets are fair considering his health condition. Monitoring through the attendance system and manager reports ensures that both the employee's needs and company standards are balanced. The work is also done and he is also fine because he's not standing anymore further. Judgment. This shows that the C Baker's policies not only protect the employee's health and rights, but also monitor the performance in a fair way. Strengths. Strict hygiene and safety rules ensure staff and customer protection. Training sessions help employees improve skills. And transparent monitoring system like attendance machines and feedback service for opportunities for staff growth. The maximum plus points are there, but we have the negative points as well. Strengths are definitely they really consider the hygiene as their first factor, then they give the training sessions to the people who are working already in the organization. If they have hired someone, they're going to then again even check them closely. However, some employees may not fully understand policies if they're not trained properly. If they feel like only verbal training is given, then it gets difficult. You need to make sure they are in the practice as well. Monitoring like CCTV in the branches may feel like spying if not explained clearly, but I think this is the narration of today's time. Policies may need updating to cover the modern workplace needs, that is flexible hours for the women as well. I haven't seen any female worker in the organization yet, but maybe in the other branches of this city, Islamabad, we do have the female workers, or maybe in the Lahore city. I'm not sure about it. So at the sea, because policies and procedures provide a strong support system by ensuring safety, fairness, and training opportunities for the employees. At the same time, they allow management to monitor the attendance, performance, and workplace behavior. The effectiveness depends on the clear communication, fair application, and regular updates. And there is only one way that you can literally cover up the policies and procedures by monitoring and supporting the people. That is only by communication, verbal, written, every form, it must be correct. It must be towards the right audience who requires it the most. Just a summary of 4.2 policies and procedures give clear rules about how employees should behave and how managers should support them. They cover areas like health and safety, equal opportunities, training, events, handling, performance appraisals, and well-being. These systems make the world fair, and fair, safe, and organized, but ensuring everyone knows the rights and responsibilities. So you're going to treat them well. You're going to get the input from them as well and the output, but everything should be in equilibrium, and everyone should know that what their rights and responsibilities are respectively. Strengths and weaknesses judgment provide fairness, improve communication, reduce conflict, and help in monitoring the performance as well. These are the plus point of the procedures, health and safety procedures, that is for the policies and procedures of the organization for the employees. Weakness is if too rigid, that is, they don't want to change, and what will happen? They may reduce flexibility. They won't feel confident enough to work further because they're rigid. When you naturally don't want to change, then how things can go further on? If poorly enforced, they may not protect the workers effectively. Yes, because everyone feel like that they are the boss of their own thoughts. Judgment. Well-designed policies and procedures are essential because they not only protect the workers, but also help organizations run smoothly. And it makes things way too easy when things are followed according to the set rules and regulations. So that was it for assessment criteria 4.2. Now, the question is 41, the last one for this course. Evaluate the impact of legislation. Legislation are the set policies and procedures, the same thing which we did in 4.2 as well. If we amalgamate that term, that is known as legislation, on employee relation management, that is what's the relationship effect of employee and managers and vice versa as well in different organizational contexts. Now it could be a structure as well, it could be the type as well. Evaluate means you need to work on strengths and weaknesses, similarities and differences, and then you need to add the judgment and conclusion or even the recommendation part. And afterwards, once we're done with everything, you can add the current research or any theories you think is applicable for the work which we are doing to support the evaluation when applicable. So what the question is exactly asking, you must evaluate the impact of labor and employment. Labor is again the employee, and employment is the one in which you have packed and signed your job description specification on how organization manage the employee relation. That means you need to work on the laws, shape, management practices, that is hiring, pay, dismissal, health and safety, unions. Like if you have the work experience, you know that these things are these matters a lot. Use clear examples from different organizational contexts if you want to. I'll let you know whether it is mandatory from your suggested evidence to go for any hypothetical example or just an SME, whatever you want to go for, but do not go for the multinationals until and unless it is written. Analyze strengths and weaknesses, present the arguments for and against the legislation, that is actually the similarities and differences, apply the relevant theories, research, judge the evidence, and give a reasoned conclusion as well. You people can give your country's legislation as well, that is KSA, Bahrain. We have some nice rules, but it's all up to you. The ATHE is, that's a UK degree, so we can use that as well. That would be more better, but it's all up to you. There is no restriction. So for the United Kingdom, some acts are Employment Rights Act 1996, that is for the individual employment protections, and Equality Act 2010, that is for the anti-discrimination. In the US, we have the National Labor Relations Act, that is Wagner Act, collective bargaining and union rights. You need to search the employee rights in different states like that. In Pakistan, we have Industrial Relations Act 2012, Federal Law on the Trade Unions and Dispute Resolution, and the local shop and establishment laws, that's called regional and district laws. Okay, now the question comes: how legislation shapes employee relation? First of all, we need to set the minimum rights and protections. For example, rights against the unfair dismissal, minimum procedures for dismissal, anti-discrimination duties. This forces the employers to adopt formal HR processes rather than informal or arbitrary action. That is, you won't be able to exploit another entity when things are followed by such rules and regulations. Creates formal channels for the voice and dispute resolution, union recognition, union labor, pressure groups, which we have in the UK. Collective bargaining, grievance procedures are backed by law so the workers can negotiate and complain formally. Mostly the Asians and the Black people, they are always targeted on the Discrimination Act. Imposes safety and well-being operations and obligations. Health and safety, working time rules, sick pay duties, main employers must manage well-being activities. That is, if there is something we need to speak up at least. Drives the paperwork, monitoring, and formal HR system, that is to show the compliance, employers introduce policies, record keeping, attendance systems, instructed appraisal. Everything should be set and written so that things are actually have in a record presence. Create the incentives and costs. Incentives are the benefits. Cost is you can take it in a term that this decision could have a cost as well, an impact. Compliance reduces the risk of legal penalties, but adds the administrative and financial cost. That is, you need to pay, you need to record keeping, you need to train the staff, which if you have hired already. Then coming towards the impact across different organizational contexts. So the second part of your question, types of business structures. First is always a multinational, definitely. Higher compliance sophistication, standardized HR system across countries, formal collective bargaining policy in unionized countries. Even one worker of a multinational, they stand, a company is at stake because of the reputation and goodwill. Why? Because the multinational companies face legal risk, public image risk, and must harmonize terms across the locations. They invest in legal teams and global HR policies. That is why they have their own lawyers and their own auditory firms as well. For example, a UK-registered MNC must follow the Employment Rights Act 1996 and Equality Right 2012, that is dismissal rules, anti-discrimination, and will centralize the grievance and equal opportunity procedures. That reduces arbitrary dismissals and improves the formal fairness, but increases the HR overhead. HR cost is obviously going to be increasing high. Reason is they have to monitor everything according to law and have an eye of need. Strength, high legal compliance, stronger employee protections, and predictable process as well. You know what the next step is going to be soon. However, it can feel bureaucratic and rigid. Local managers may feel over controlled. Yes, because in MNCs, the leadership styles are mostly authoritarian one and way too less democratic, but they never go for the lessest fair. Now coming towards the SME, apart from these two companies, we have the private limited companies as well. You can add sole, no need to add sole traders. Yes, private limited and incorporated firms as well. You can give the references to that as well. For SMEs, the example which I've taken up as the bakers, local bakery chain of any city or country you can opt for. The typical impact is legislation still applies. Still, rules are necessary whether you're an SME. Why? Because shops and establishment laws are there, health and safety, wages, food security, everything is there. But SMEs often lack the HR capacity, so compliance can be inconsistent because human resource departments are not like have a legal bound in the SMEs. The person who is at the cashier, he's the manager as well in most of the organizations, SMEs specifically. The real example, they must follow the local shop and establishment rules on the work hours, record keeping, and hygiene. If in Pakistan rules like West Pakistan Shops and Establishment Ordinance and Industrial Relation Act apply, HR record keeping and the worker contracts may be minimal in smaller branches, causing informal practice. And this is the main reason why the developing countries are not following the rules because the bodies are not enough strong, the governmental bodies. A worker's right to raise a grievance or join a union exists. It do exist because he is a worker, but practical access may be limited by the job insecurity or low awareness. People are illiterate or they do not know that they have their right, they have the audacity to even sue the organization. And the second thing, that they're limited by job insecurity because when they are in the job, they don't sign any JD and JS. They just go on. Good point. Minimum protections reach the frontline workers, basic safety and anti-discrimination cover apply. The workers, the janitors, they are literally treated really badly here. Weakness, enforcement gaps, SMEs, and like even the workers, the helpers which we have in our house, they are also Christians. The Christian community in Pakistan, they are not given the jobs of higher status. They are treated as the janitors or the cleaning purpose people for the stadiums. And like you people have the Philippines, right? Filipinis, right? For mostly and
Yes.
Bengali.
Yeah, for nurses,
So
yeah.
yeah, for the male, you people have Bengali people for the work, and females, the Filipinos one. So see, every country has their own type, which they have decided, and we cannot do anything. All we can do is a kindness act, pay them more, give them the grocery. At least this is what we can do, right? Okay. However, enforcement gaps SMEs may unintentionally breaches the rules through lack of knowledge or cause pressure. Workers may remain informal and vulnerable. Yes, because no proper rules and regulations. Public sector, the governmental organizations, stock exchange bodies which make the rules, approve the rules. They collect the taxes. They go for the fiscal policies and monetary policies. Often strongly regulated and unionized, formal procedures and stronger job, what do we have? Protections, civil secure rules, service rules. That is, you have to make the rules. You are going to be the rule maker, not the breaker. Strength, high job security, and structured dispute resolution. That is why in the developing nation, people love to have the job of governmental position. 18th rank, 17th rank, 19, 21, 22 grade officers. Reason is the more grade is going to get higher in the governmental sector, the more authority you're going to have. You will be having the protocols, whatever you can literally exploit anyone if you have this dignity. However, it can be inflexible, slow to respond to change, may reduce managerial discretion when you are in the National Assembly or authority or any Senate. For Saudi, we have the kingdom system, right? So it is not the Senate system where in the Pakistan and India, but here we have it. So things are different, but here there everything is literally controlled within the your own entire kingdom. Then unionized manufacturing plant, that is collective bargaining. Laws like the NLRA, the US one, or the National Industrial Relation Act protect the union organizing and collective bargaining, which shifts employee relations from individual management to collective negotiation. That is, you're doing everything your own, you are trying to change by your own, you cannot make a group. But point collective voice increases bargaining power for the wages conditions, clear industrial relation frameworks. And this is the reason why the Western countries they have strong pressure groups and union leaders. If one person is not even the black community, they have their own union powers. If they're disregarded in any of the organization, they take the action. However, it can lead to inadversarial relation, that is management versus union. Sometimes conflict arises. It strikes at increased labor cost, also required the skilled union management negotiation as well. Honestly, if person knows their right, what to speak and when to speak and how to speak, scenarios they change a lot. Informal sectors, insecure sectors like the gig economy, casual workers, the normal people, legislation often lags behind the new work forms. Many gig workers lack employee status, that is so key legal protections do not apply. Codes and new laws, for example, UK employment rights bill proposals are trying to close the gaps, but uncertainty remains. That is, they are doing the discrimination openly. Now, they don't even hide their hate. It is shown in their faces and their words. Strength flexibility for the employers and workers, that you're giving them the autonomy. If there is a chance or there is a problem, you can resolve it. However, the legal gaps create insecurity and weaker bargaining power for the workers, that they don't feel confident enough to set back or to encounter back. Strengths and weaknesses of the legislation. Minimum, now these are the overall strengths and weaknesses, okay? Minimum standards protect the workers from the exploitation, that is unfair dismissal, discrimination, while there are rules in the organization. First, to protect the rights of the person, right? Even when we are working in the organization, we always see when we're getting paid, how the environment is and what job they are asking from us. Predictability and fairness requires formal procedures, making outcomes less arbitrary. Requires formal procedure, those organizations which have set standard and rules. There is everything with the system. You cannot do it by your own. If you want to, you can. No, there is a system. You need to follow it. Voice and representation, union rights and grievance systems, institutionalized employee voice. If you need leave, if there is a problem going on, who first hit the union leader, then that person is going to directly talk to the entrepreneurs. Health and safety improvements. Legal duties push employers to maintain safer workplaces. Yes, when you push them to a designation in which the legal authorities and safety is mandatory, scenario changes. However, compliance cost, paperwork, admin, and potential compensation can be expensive, especially for the SMEs. Like it's not easy for the SME owners to hire the auditory people. It's really expensive. Bureaucracy and reduced flexibility, rigid rules can hinder the managerial responsiveness or the innovation. That is, by nature and by will, they don't want to change, but they want to opt for the new rules and regulation. Then the situation gets really difficult to handle. Enforcement gaps when forcing somebody to use it. Why it's a neck point? Because laws on the books may not be enforced equally. Informal sectors and low awareness workers are left out because they know that they need to work and they're gonna get paid. Like here, if you're working for 9 hours a day as well, I'm talking about the people who are the laborers, they will get 1,000 rupees or 1,500 per day, which is very less, bare minimum. Adversarial relation risk. Strong union protection can, in some contexts, reduce the conflict rather than cooperation. Sometimes we feel like things are going to be in the favor, but when the discussion goes on, things go beyond the control as well. Arguments for and against the stronger employment legislation, the for is that protect the workers and vulnerable groups, reduces the exploitation, supports equality, for example, Equality Act. You're not discriminating any gender. Promote decent work and social stability. Fair treatment reduces grievance and turnover because you don't want to leave the organization when things are in the favor of you and you're following everything. Then coming towards the third point, which is raising the standards, raising the standard cost across industries. That is level playing field prevent that is raised to the bottom. Be okay with everyone. Don't go for the friendly boundary. Don't go with the rigid boundary. However, the argument against the stronger laws, higher business cost and lower hiring. Small firms may hire fewer workers if dismissal is costly. Because the small companies, when they hire you, they train you. They put cost on you. They need output from you as well. Once, because the investment is the training. Once the training is given to you, now you're going to generate it. And that will be enjoyed by the entrepreneurs. Administrative burden. SMEs may lack HR expertise, leading to compliance failure or avoidance because the one person is performing 2, 3 roles. Reduced managerial flexibility makes the rapid restructuring or innovation harder. When things are rigid, nobody wants to change or it's hard to change. How you can go for the benchmarking? You cannot go for the innovation or benchmarking at all. Then coming towards theories and research applied, the last part of your command verb evaluate. Unitarist versus pluralist perspectives, industrial relations theory. Now, this person, what he proposed? He proposed two views, unitarist and pluralist. Workplace as a team. That's true. When you are in a workplace, you work as a team. Strong management authority is desirable, legislation seen as interference. Legislation means that if you're following the rules, one person is following another set of rules, second person is following another set of rules, how you can be a team? Definitely there is going to be quarrels and arguments. Pluralist is conflict of interest exists between the labor and management. Legislation and unions are necessary to balance power. Usefulness explains why some managers resist stronger laws, unitarist, while others accept some as stabilizing pluralist. So, what is the main difference between unitarist view and the pluralist? It is that the one who persist the stronger rules, they are going to known as the unitarist view, and the pluralist one are the one who says that everything is going to be acceptable, but that it should be followed by everyone. So this theory, the industrial relation theory, is for your course. Then institutional theory, organization conform to laws and norms to gain legitimacy. That is, you need to follow the rules and regulations. Multinational companies especially adopt formal human resource systems to appear legitimate across jurisdictions. That is, if something bad happens to the company, if, for God's sake, the reputation, the goodwill is at stake of the company and you have a good reputation, then definitely you can challenge the other person, other organization, or even a person who has challenged you in the court. But the lawyers are going to challenge, definitely, not the entrepreneur. Strategic human resource management is suggesting that when the firms integrate legislations, rules into HR strategy, beyond mere compliance, they can extract the benefits retention, reputation, and employee engagement because it can be risky as well, it can be a good thing as well. We need to have a balance between all the things. Research evidence indicates that compliance and the positive HR practice together produce better performance than compliance alone. So it's better not to apply all the time rules and regulation. It's better to apply the human resource as well. That is counseling people, newbies, everyone, and then you can go ahead. It's easy to then achieve the goals as well. Evidence shows where laws are clear and enforced, employee relations improve. Very true. Less arbitrary dismissal, clear grievance handling. When you know that there are rules, you have to follow it, there is no chance to escape. Then why there's going to be a problem? UK acts are examples of detailed individual rights that force firms to formalize HR, improving firms are the company's organization, okay? When enforcement is weak, informal sectors like that is small firms, legal protections often fail in practice, like in Pakistan and other developing contexts, a combination of federal acts and local ordinance exist. They do exist, the bodies are there, but what's the problem? The awareness and enforcement vary. So many small shops may not fully comply. Yes, because literally everyone has their own shops. A bread shop, local grocery stores, small shops, bakery stores, how we can have a proper check and balance. If the government is strong, the regulations are strong, then it is going to be a win situation. Then we have recent policy debates. For example, UK reforms illustrate how tightening the worker protection can be politically contested. Business groups warn about the cost while supporters highlight the worker security. Definitely, workers want their job security, and the business want that the cost should be reduced so that they can earn more profit. Recently, you have seen that people have a lot of awareness nowadays through the social media applications. Every country people are now speaking, whether it's Nepal, whether it's Bangladesh, any country, pick one, and you will see a change. Before that, these things weren't even common. People used to get afraid if they are going to say something, what will happen to them? Legislation generally improves fairness and workers' voice when it is well designed and enforced, but the net impact depends heavily on the organizational capacity. If they're able to handle things, good points, bad points, scenario definitely changes. Enforcement strength, things which many therapists even talk about nowadays with the ADHD and autistic kids, that if you're going to enforce them, reinforcement is there, they are going to speak, they're going to respond. And when you're going to give them the reward, there's always two concepts, reward and punishment. A reward one is always best. So it's better what capacity you can prevail from the workers and the sectors formality, where your organization is standing, whether it comes under the MNC sector, SME sector, private, limited, or public. SMEs and informal workplaces need tailored support that is guidance, training, phased implementation. turn the legal requirements into meaningful practice. Once rules are in the books, but how you're going to apply that matters. Legislation is essential for protecting the employees and shaping up the fair employees relation. However, legislation is not a magic fix. Its positive impact depends on the enforcement, managerial capability, and organizational context. So, rules and regulations are always good for you when you're following all these things. That is, you're enforcing the employees, your managerial capability is there, the managers are of nice one, and the context of the organization, that's the type. However, in the informal, well-resourced organization, it raises standards. In the formal one, it is well-resourced organization that is everything is backed by. However, in the informal or poorly governed workplaces, the benefits are limited, just like rules and regulations. Summary: employment legislation sets minimum rights, fair pay, safe work protection from discrimination, rights to join the unions. It influences how managers handle employee retentions and relations, that is, hiring, firing, safety, pay, and grievance systems. Everything is going to be discussed under the category of manager here. Large organizations like multinational usually comply well because that is they follow the rules and regulation because they have the HR teams making employee relation formal and fair. They can have a check and balance. However, SMEs they face challenges, issue they must follow the rules, laws, but often lack resources. They have less factors of production, that is land, labor capital, and entrepreneurship. So compliance may be partial. Sometimes they follow, sometimes they don't. For the public sector, it tends to be highly regulated, stronger employee protection, but sometimes less flexibility because you cannot leave the job without solid grounds. Strengths of legislation protect the workers, ensures the fairness, encourages the dialogue through unions, and promotes safety. Weaknesses can be costly for the businesses, add bureaucracy, add in the weak enforcement environment. Like informal sectors, the one which are not formal, laws may not be applied properly. So, things that I want to brief is rules and regulations are mandatory, but you need to see where you have to apply it. The article link pluralist view, unitarist view, both of them. The industry, I think, okay. Judgment legislation generally improves fairness and stability in the workplaces, but its impact depends on the enforcement. That is the way you're enforcing them, size of the organization type, structure, and management capacity, where the manager lies. For the SMEs, practical support and guidance are needed to make laws effective. That is it for today's lecture. Allah Hafiz.